so hard. Put the wall. Yes, I did it!
Hold that shit! Hold that
Wait,
shit,
I
man.
cannot ulti when I'm fucking alive. I need to die.
Fuck
Kill
that
me!
shit.
Kill me, motherfucker! What? Hello people from YouTube, my name is Zadarkus and I welcome you to the mid lane tier list for patch 5.2. The first champion in my list will be Karthus. With the removal of Deadfire Grasp, some mid laners are losing the spotlight and some old school mid laners have room to get back into the game. Karthus is one of these. Thanks to the indirect nerf to the early game of the AP assassins, Karthus has more time and room to farm up, and with the new AP mids being played now in the mid lane, he ends up as a really strong pick. By picking this champion, you should know that what you're aiming for is the late game. Therefore, what you want to do is to focus on farming and keep an eye on the other lanes that could give you a kill or assist by using your ultimate. I would suggest doing some camps as well to really ramp up as fast as possible. If the game takes too long and you end up getting full build, your damage will go off the roof and your ultimate will be able to decimate the most squishy targets. I would suggest this pick for more passive players as they don't need to risk as much compared to the assassins. Karthus does allow players to be aggressive when well played, as your arrest potential is really high during the laning phase, but for more passive and safer players, he works just fine, making him actually really hard to get killed in the lane if he decides to tower hook. With the FG removal, Karthus comes back as one of the highest damage dealers in team fights, and a good Karthus player can easily win most 1v1s with his insane damage on his Q against isolated targets. Playing Karthus, we know that he farms very well with his massive area of effect clearing abilities. He has guaranteed damage through his ultimate, since normally you use it after you already die. You can execute low targets globally on the map with your ultimate, because ultimates that are global are just OP. He is great at killing PvE objectives like Baron and Dragon. His wall is a powerful initiation support or counter initiation to incoming enemy champions. He is a great harasser if played well in the lane, and he is extremely difficult to get a free kill against if he is played passively. Sadly, against him, he has a horrible and really weak early game and a very weak roam, even though you can just use your ultimate to clear up the shitters instead of roaming. Anyway, he has a bad tower pusher as well, even though he has the wave clear, his attack and attack speed, everything about him to push towers kinda suck. He needs time to farm and ramp up, he needs good positioning in team fights and some good aim with his Q, and he is rather easy to dive, yet in most cases you can pick up a kill if you get dove. The next champion in my list is Swain. Swain has been getting more popular in the previous patches, but mostly as a top laner thanks to his high sustained damage and overall ability to survive. Now with the DFG removal, other AP mids will have a hard time to take this guy down. Ignite is always an option, but once used, it goes to cooldown, and if a Swain player knows his limits, he will just be hard to kill in the lane and moving on later to the team fight as a big pain in the ass. Even with Morelos being a pretty popular item nowadays, the effect only activates when the enemy is already low, and the champion building Morello is sacrificing magic resist from 18s, which will lead to him being even more squishy against this walking tank. Like Karthus previously, Swain has a room in my list since he will always have a strong presence in team fights. Now that one-shotting people is a lot harder for the mid laners, having sustained damage and a longer presence in the team fight is a great option. Plus, a good snare followed by the slow will secure you most kills. In favor of Swain, we know that he has a high sustain. He is a strong laner, and over the time he gets harder and harder to force out of the lane. He's a tank mage hybrid, and we don't have many other options really to fulfill this role. He is a underrated champion when it comes to damage. He has a tanky itemization choice, and he is very disruptive in team fight. Sadly, against him, he has a bad wave clear. Compared to many other AP mids, to wave clear fast, you need to burn a lot of your mana using your ultimate, and even so, you do take some time. He relies a lot on hitting his Nevermore, which is his W, to be effective. Relies heavily on the blue buff, especially on the early game. May have a lower damage compared to others APs if he is built way too tanky. And he needs good positioning in teamfights, because even though he is ready to take some hits, he is not really your tank. But if you get a Shaco jungle trying to fuck you over and some squishy ass top laner, you may pick Swain for the mid lane so you can take some extra hits for your team. Next in my list is Cassiopeia. Well, in simple words, as the game is now, Cassiopeia is just pretty broken. Some people already know this, and thanks to it they have been winning many games. Yet don't let this fool you. Playing her is pretty demanding. A good Cassiopeia needs to know how to manage her mana, how to be aggressive in the lane without getting herself killed, how to hit the Qs, stack her passive as soon as possible, and actually hit her ultimate at the best time and on many people as possible. Because yes, if you never played her, the amount of actions you need to take on her per minute, APM if you want to go technical, is insanely higher than any other AP mid, and unless you get used to her ultimate, you most likely are going to miss a few. Now that we took the bad things out of the way, let's talk about the good things. First of all, she is a bully. She kicks other mid laners around, and once she hits her Q, she will just go after you until you are under your turret, hitting you with her E that does some really nasty damage and ends up healing her later on. The fact that her passive gives her a free Rabadon's Deadcat passive boost make her the champion that can get the most crazy AP numbers beside Veigar. Yet it will be more common for you to see a Cassiopeia with 1000 AP than a Veigar, since she won't need to farm as many Qs as a Veigar needs. On teamfight, with a good ultimate and her insane damage and single target burst, she can turn around many games. At the moment, her win ratio as a overall stands at 53%, taking the 8th place. Not the best, but as mentioned, she is hard to master, therefore many games are lost by those who do not know how to play her, so don't let these numbers fool you. If you put a new player playing Swain and another one playing Cassiopeia, he will do a lot worse on Cassiopeia just on the fact that she is way more demanding. Yet if she is played well, something I feel the need to keep saying, she is insanely strong. In her favor, she has no real super counter. She works really well with different team compositions. She has an extremely strong laning presence. She is very good at zoning enemies both in the lane and during Baron and Dragon attempts. She is one of the strongest sustained DPS casters in the game. She is very mobile when you hit your Q, making her excellent for harassing. And she has the ultimate that can turn around games and secure your team fights that normally would be lost. Sadly, she requires a high amount of skill to be played correctly. Her ultimate can make or break a team fight and is hard to use. She has no real escapes on the laning phase, and casting your Twink Fang, which is your E, on a non-poison target during a team fight generally costs you your life. But if you know how to play her, now is the time. The next guy on my list is Malzahar, the guy most AP mid laners hate to lane against thanks to his retarded ultimate during the laning phase. A good way to play against him in many champions was the DFG burst after some way of CC. That way he couldn't ulti you and kill you while you stand still and go take a shower. Now it's a lot harder. I will take the 100% sure route that normally I don't, and go as far as saying that it is impossible for you to one-shot this guy unless you are really fed, but in normal matchups I don't see that happening. Even more, being Rod of Ages, the most built item on him, used 63% of all matches. Now AP assassins will finally get assassinated, sadly, by this guy. Even though his ultimate is risky in teamfights, you should be able to snowball in the lane or win with a good roam room. His damage even without his ultimate is pretty insane if you hit a Q and put a Malefic Vision on the enemy. I've been able to kill the enemy AD carry with just ignite a Malefic Vision and a Q, no DFG, no W or ultimate. This power still stands. Plus, with your Voidlings you can easily farm the jungle that many AP mid laners have been having some hard times since the jungle buff. Basically, if you kill the enemy mid laner or if he isn't in the lane for 30 seconds, you most likely just take a tower, thanks to your Voidlings and amazing pushing potential. Not to mention that his overall KDA is higher than Katarina's, Karthus, Cassiopeia's, Talon's, Fizz and Zed. So yeah, you can get pretty fed on this guy and just carry the game. In his favor, he dominates solo lanes. He has a strong harassment on enemy champions with Malefic Vision and Call of the Void, which is his passive. He can do more damage to tanks with his nulls on because it is percentage damage on their maximum HP. He has multiple damage over time, skills, and if you add the hunting guys on him, OP. He is a strong pusher due to the fact that after spamming his spells to get rid of the minions to focus attacks on the turret, he gets a Voidling which, if the turret doesn't destroy, he can deal a significant amount of damage. He has a strong ultimate to gank lanes. He has an excellent silencing skill, Call of the Void, that can hit multiple champions and is a silence that lasts as long as 3 seconds at max rank, and nowadays not many silences are left. He is strong at teamfights with Call of the Void and Null Zone. He is an excellent farmer with Malefic Visions. And he has good mana sustain in the lane thanks to the Malefic Vision's mana restore effect that allows him to farm safely once he gets enough AP. Sadly, against him, the suppression from his ultimate can be countered by CC and he will be vulnerable during the cast. He has no real escapes or CC to avoid ganks, even though his silence can save him. He needs to pick the right target and have a great positioning during the team fights to do the ultimate, otherwise he just dies. Most of his damage and utility is lost if he misses his Q during the team fight, and his combo needs to be done correctly to do the desired amount of damage. But if you want to just rule your lane and snowball, just pick this guy. The next one on my list, but for sure not the least, is Ahri. But I want to keep it short because the video is dragging along, so basically I love Ahri, so she stays here and yeah, done.
Oh, mechanics!
Yo.
No!
You have your stomach?
Mechanics!
I have mine.
Nah, I'm kidding. This one is the one I feel more comfortable to talk about. I'm main mid and I'm becoming a one-trick pony slowly as I just can't stop playing her. Let's just get one thing out of the way. DFG got removed. Let's think about Ahri counters. Annie, who got hit hardly by the DFG removal, now you have more room to counter player, and I had this matchup already. LeBlanc, also hurt by the DFG. To be honest, I'm not even scared of her anymore since I can shut her down before she tries to scare me, and with the Q mobility buff I wanna see her try to hit the chain on me. Diana may still be a problem, but again, the buff on Ahri Q makes all the difference. I played against 2 Dianas already and the ability to poke her with the Q and run out of the range of her Q made it so that after a while she would just be too low to even engage me, and later in the team fight Ahri is just better. Well, then we have Swain. Well, he really needs to hit his snare like I mentioned. Guess what? You got the Q mobility buff, so yeah, let's see him try. Plus, your Q outranges the rest of his kit. Hooray! See where I'm getting? It's harder to burst people now, so Ahri can survive a lot easier, yet she combines high mobility with low cooldowns, true damage, single target CC and many possible build paths. I play Ahri since the day of her release, so I saw all her nerfs and buffs, and I must tell you, she is finally the champion I wanted her to be. Her playstyle changed a lot if you were used to the one-shot DFG Ahri, but I sincerely think it changed for the best. With good mechanics on her, you can outplay most enemies, not just AP mid laners but also the other roles. The movement speed you gain from your Q is just insane, therefore the kiting potential is crazy. If you want, you may go for the kite build used on Season 3. On what you use the Relay Scepter and get some cooldown reduction. The perma-slow you can get by using your Foxfire and your Orb added with the movement speed buff makes it almost impossible to catch her. I used many different runes combination, movement speed, spell vamp, flat AP, scaling AP, magic pen, different builds, the purple build, kite Ahri, full AP mode, full pen mode, and to be honest all of them work. It's up to you to play the current way depending on your match and know how to play it. Ahri can now be a great lane bully where you hit your Q and easily dodge most skill shot with your high mobility. You can even use your Q to avoid gank. Just throw it away and run back. In team fights, this mobility will make you able to reposition yourself to the best places on the go thanks to the addition of your ultimate. Even though her charm does not increase the damage dealt by other spells during 6 seconds anymore, the AP ratio has been increased to compensate it a little bit, and she does do true damage on her Q. It's all about hitting your skills. She is hard to master, I'm not going to lie. You need to know how to hit your skills, but also foresee your orbs travel back to hit as many enemy champions as possible. You need to be a king of positioning, the map is your playground, use it in your favor, outplay those fools. Believe me when I tell you, Riot wants Ahri in the competitive scene again, and it makes sense. She is fun to watch, fun to play, and has a great outplay potential. Exactly what the crowd wants to see Faker do, right? They are bringing her back to the game, even though she really never left. But think about it, even the season's opening skin was for Ahri. Trust me on this one, with the footage you've been seeing, my explanation and my games I uploaded and will upload on her, train this sexy fox and gain your LP, because this little fox will be the queen of Season 5. On her favor, she has built-in sustain. She has high burst damage as well as sustained damage. Very high mobility with her Orb Walk passive and her ultimate, which is a great escape as well. Has one of the strongest single target CCs in the game. Has really low cooldowns, a true damage AoE ability, great roaming potential, strong teamfight thanks to the combination of the mobility and low cooldowns, good wave clear with her Q once you get enough AP. Sadly, against her, she is rather hard to master, depends a lot on her skill shots, has a weak early game compared to other mid laners, and is more item dependent than most mid laners are. And this about is my tier list. Let me know what you think, let me know if the video is a little bit too long and you just want the tier list a little bit faster. I ended up doing a little bit more in-depth tier list because with the big changes in the mid lane I really felt like explaining you why I picked this, guys. But I really hope you enjoy this. You know, my name has been Zadarkus, this video was made for you. Remember to give it a thumbs up, leave me the comments that I love to read, and subscribe if you are not subscribed. And I'll see ya pretty soon.
I had a Zed on the team.
Fuck
I didn't
Zed.
even know.
I got the wall on him. Come on, fuck him up. Fuck him. Get him.
Fucking bait.
Get him.
I can't. He's too far. He's
Fucking get him.
Oh. Later, bitch. Later.